Pioneer viewers, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share our report on Russia-Ukraine war with you, and in a moment, I will share with you the latest developments on the front line with a map. According to the latest reports, there is a movement on the front line in the regions we have reported before, and the fierce competition between the two armies continues. So, while the successful resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces continues, the Russian armed forces are making an intense effort to break this resistance. However, this resistance has not been broken for a long time. As you know, nothing is eternal, and there is a possibility that this resistance will be broken. As it is well known, the resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces is not based solely on the military valor, and there is a faith and determination. The Ukrainian armed forces have survived so far largely on this faith and determination, but the military assets are also important. The defense lines of the Ukrainian armed forces in many places are still intact, but the danger remains. So, what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's take a look at the developments with me. Before I start our report, I need to make a small reminder. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You already know, you can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you in advance for your support, and let's start if you're ready, because I'm reporting. Let me start with the latest developments on the Kherson front line. We've been observing silence here for some time, and the majority of the Russian armed forces sources claim that Krinky is under the control of the Russian army. However, according to the latest reports, there are new operations here by the Marines of the Ukrainian armed forces. According to reports, Ukrainian armed forces units continue to clash with the Russian troops there. So, according to the latest reports, there have been furious clashes in the vicinity of Krinky in recent days. Local sources claim that a large number of Russian troops were destroyed during these clashes. So far, there has been no statements from the Russian official sources confirming or denying this claim. As I've stated in our previous reports many times, the silence of the Russian sources generally proves the veracity of the allegations. Now let's get into the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stationed in Kherson, Antoniivka and Belozerka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stationed in Olopristan, Kakhovka, Poima, Oleshki and Pidlisny. On the Robotin sector of the Zaporizhzhia front line, there is a heavy fighting, and it continues in the Robotin sector of the Zaporizhzhia front line. As it is known, there are two prominent regions here. One of them is Robotin, and the other one is, of course, Verbov. The latest reports from Verbov say that calm prevails on the front line, and according to these reports, both armies don't intend to carry out violent offensives. Rather, they indicate that positional battles are taking place northwest of Verbov. Troops from both armies are busy defending their positions, and the Verbov line is largely in this state. In the vicinity of the town of Robotin, we observe that the furious clashes continuing uninterruptedly. As I've shared with you in our previous reports, the Ukrainian defense around Robotin is quite strong, and they have maintained this situation for a long time. According to the latest reports, in Robotin, the Russian armed forces carried out offensive operations on the southern outskirts of the village. However, the demarcation line is largely stable, and the Ukrainian armed forces units continue to hold their positions. If I'm going to tell you about the artillery activity, so we can say that artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stationed in Robotin, Orikhiv, Novodanilivka, Moletok Makcha and Novoandriivka. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stationed in Novoprokopovka, Novoprokopivka and Verbov. Let's move on to the Donetsk front line. So according to the latest reports again, the situation here on the Donetsk front line of the Russian armed forces needs to be reviewed by the Ukrainian General Staff headquarters. On the other hand, counter-fighting continues in the Pobeda area, Gorogorivskoye, and on the southern approaches to Krasnogorovka and in the Nivolskoye area. Fierce counter-fighting continues in Permovskoye, where the Ukrainian armed forces garrison is in a difficult situation but will not give up its positions without a fight. Here the Russian armed forces are showing great strength, but the pressure from the Ukrainian armed forces is similar and the Ukrainian resistance has still not been broken. On the other hand, in the Tonikoe area, the Ukrainian armed forces have put up serious resistance, counterattacked and blocked the advance of the Russian armed forces. And there are reports that the Ukrainian armed forces have captured several new positions. However, these reports have not yet been confirmed, but heavy fighting continues on the Semonkoe and Berdiachi approaches. Every meter is very difficult for the Russian troops, and there is an incredible Ukrainian resistance in every meter. If the Russian armed forces manage to repel Ukrainian counterattacks, they will begin to put pressure on the Ukrainian defenses again. But at the moment, we cannot say basically that this can be achieved in a short time. Let me continue with the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports, Russian troops on the Bakhmut front line, supported by artillery and aviation, continue to develop their offensives towards Kherson. Although the situation remains largely stable, the fact remains that the Ukrainian army forces are having a major threat. On the other hand, there are counter battles in Klishchivka. In the Ivanivsky region, units of the Russian armed forces are trying to establish control over the western outskirts of the settlements. Although there is an instability in the region and it can be changed at any moment, because the Ukrainian armed forces need to review new strategies. If I'm going to give you more information regarding the artillery in this region, of course, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Kherson, Ivanivsky, and Klishchivka. In contrast, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted the town and the center of Bakhmut. The front line that remains is the Luhansk front line. So, according to the latest reports, units of the Russian armed forces continue to attack Ukrainian positions near Cherniv, and there have been attacks here for some time. However, they were not particularly noteworthy or significant enough to be subjected of this report, but the attacks have increased in intensity. The situation is similar in Sinkivka region. According to reports, the Sinkivka region units and the units of the Ukrainian armed forces in this region launched a counterattack. However, they did not succeed, and the demarcation line between the two armies is largely stable, and there are no changes. Now, it's your turn. What do you think? Do you think the fighting will continue on the Kherson front line? And how do you assess the current situation in the region? Do you think that the Ukrainian army will be able to continue defending its positions in Bakhmut? Specify it in the comments, because you know that I read and I care a lot about all of your comments. And I also respond to them personally.